Now we're going to get into initiating a SOC 2. Now there's a couple of auditing principles and concepts that can be viewed in the learning material, which we are not going to get into too much detail now. What we want to focus on is the trust but verify approach, specifically looking at what audit evidence do we need to have ready for the auditor when they do come in to perform the SOC 2 audit. Currently, the SOC 2 audit process uses the trust but verify approach by external auditing teams. The theory behind this approach is that the auditing team receiving the evidence produced by the service organization is forthright and not tampered with or altered with. This means that when you say you have a JIRA process in place, for example, and when the auditors get there and there's no JIRA process in place, that means there's no trust and there's no evidence to verify that you have a JIRA process in place. There are three main points when it comes to evidence that we need to address. The first one is your system description, which is in your section 3. This is the easiest evidence to produce to the auditor because you need to have a document that lists and describes your control environment, what product you're using, your organizational structure, etc., etc. Obtaining evidence regarding the design and implementation of controls. This is where the auditor will decide which of the controls at the service organization are needed to achieve the criteria. For example, what controls are in place to achieve the control environment criteria. To ensure that controls are suitably designed, the auditor will perform the following procedures. They will perform a walkthrough with management in order to ensure that the control design is implemented in the environment. For example, if you design a control to perform ABC, the auditor will look at the system to ensure that the control is indeed performing ABC on the system. Obtaining evidence regarding the operating effectiveness of a control. This type of evidence will only be provided on controls when management decides to do a Type 2 report. As we explained in the evidence that's needed for the design and implementation of the control, this type of evidence will be required on a sample basis. So for a design and implementation of a control, you will only present a sample of 1 to show that the control is designed and implemented correctly. For controls that we test operating effectiveness for, you would be required to present a sample of 10 or 15 or 20, depending on the auditor's methodology that is followed to test the control.